Hello everyone, welcome to episode 31 of Conversing on Africa's Peace, a podcast focused on the African Union's Peace and Security Council and key related issues, produced by Amani Africa Media and Research Services. In this episode, we are breaking down the provisional program of work of the PSC for June 2025. I am Privin Habu and I am joined by my colleague Fikr Getachew. Hello Fikr.
Hi Privin, great to be here.
Great. Tanzania has taken over the role of chairing the PSC for the month of June, and the program of work adopted under Tanzania's chairship envisages 6 substantive meetings. All the 6 substantive sessions will be held at the ambassadorial level, and in addition to the sessions, there will be a committee of expert level meeting. This month, we also see no field mission. But before we delve into discussing the June's program of work, let's have a brief reflection of Council's activities and highlights during the previous month, May. Looking back, how was the month of May for the PSC, Fikr?
Thanks, Privin. Looking back, May started off with a session convened to receive a briefing on the AU support to member states, which covered the Gambia, Lesotho, Madagascar, Mali, and South Sudan, on security sector reform, the lessons learned, and perspective on the way forward, which was on the 7th of May. The session heard statements from the representatives of the Gambia, Madagascar, South Sudan, and REX, particularly ECOWAS and ECAS, as well as from Parfait Onanga Anyanga, the Special Representative of the UN Secretary General to the AU and Head of UN OAU, as well as by a representative from the Institute for Security Studies, ISS. The Council also convened the second session virtually on organized transitional crime, peace and security in the Sahel region on the 14th of May. And the Council also commemorated the International Day of Living Together in Peace and held its second Annual Joint Consultative meeting with the ECOWAS Mediation Security Council in Addis Ababa at the AU headquarters on the 16th of May. The provisional program of work was revised twice during the month, and the second revision to the program saw the indefinite postponement of the session on addressing food insecurity and conflict in Africa, which was a session planned for the 19th of May, and introduced an emergency session on the situation in Libya following the assassination of a prominent militia leader of the Stability Support Apparatus, SSA, on 12 May, which reignited violence in Tripoli and threatened the 2020 ceasefire agreement. The adopted communique from the session urged all parties to refrain from actions that could further destabilize the situation and called for an unconditional and permanent ceasefire. The PSC also called on the international community to refrain from any foreign interference and assist Libya to end up with the transitional phase through holding fair, transparent, and democratic elections. It additionally called for the immediate withdrawal of all foreign forces, foreign fighters, and mercenaries from Libyan territory, and reiterated its previous decision to undertake a field mission to Libya to enable it to interact with various stakeholders on the ground, so as to adopt a more informed decision in the support of Libya in its transition process. It also requested the AU Commission to accelerate the relocation of the AU liaison office to Tripoli in accordance with Decision 815 of the AU Assembly of Heads of States and Governments, which was held in February 2022 in Addis, and based on, of course, the enabling security situation on the ground. As we also said during our last episode, the Council did not go through with the session on the review of the political situation in Gabon, which was scheduled for the 19th of May, as Council had already held this session on Gabon and decided to lift the suspension on Gabon towards the end of April. The Council ended the month of May with a field visit to Guinea-Conakry to express AU solidarity with the people and engage in the ongoing transition process in the country. And in addition to these substantive sessions, there was an invitation from the AUC chairperson to members of the Council for an informal engagement on 12th May, which was in what was envisioned to be a quarterly engagement, but we understand that that informal engagement was not held, and it stands that the last time the PSC held an interaction with the AU Commission chairperson still stands to be on September of 2019.
Thanks for that recap, Fikr.
You're welcome.
Moving ahead, I mentioned earlier that the program of work for June envisages 6 substantive sessions. And the first session of the month is a briefing on the synergy between the Global Framework Ammunition Management and the Regional Arms and Ammunition Control Instruments, which is on the 4th of June. This meeting is convened to explore the synergies and implementation of regional instruments on small arms and light weapons adopted by AU member states, alongside the global framework for through-life conventional ammunition management, that's the GFA, in alignment with the Common African Defense and Security Policy. So the Common African Defense and Security Policy is a strategic framework adopted by AU member states in 2004, which aims to promote a shared understanding of security needs, common defense and security threats, and the necessity for collective action to address these challenges. It serves as a vital tool for AU member states to coordinate their defense and security initiatives, advancing continental stability in alignment with the Africa Union's Agenda 2063 for sustainable development and peace. Building on this, it is worth recalling that the AU Commission also embarked on a process of coordination and alignment of the implementation of the Global Framework Ammunition Management, and a study titled Synergies Between African Regional Instruments and Global Framework for Through-Life Conventional Ammunition Management was conducted. This analysis explored the alignment between the 4 key African regional instruments and the 15 objectives of the GFA. A workshop was later held on 6th and 7th of May 2025 in the AU Commission, gathering experts from the regional economic communities and regional mechanisms and the Regional Center for Small Arms. A zero draft report of the study was then developed, which set the stage for dialogue, reflection, and unified path forward. Therefore, this PSC meeting on 4th June provides an opportunity of Council to engage in a focused discussion on the challenges associated with aligning and coordinating the GFA with existing regional arms control instruments as emerged from the aforementioned studies, as well as sharing of experience and best practices on the safe and secure through-life ammunition management in preparation for the meeting of state parties to Global Framework Ammunition, which will be held at the UN headquarters in New York in 2027. Then on 10th of June, Council will convene for its second session to get an update on the activities of the Multinational Joint Task Force, that is the MNJTF, and a review of the regional strategy for the stabilization, recovery, and resilience of Boko Haram affected areas in Lake Chad Basin. So in January 2025, the PSC featured the MNJTF agenda, and in which, among other decisions, it decided to renew the force's mandate for a year. In addition, it urged the Lake Chad Basin Commission to set up diplomatic engagement with Niger to ensure its full reintegration into the MNJTF, while advocating for a comprehensive, inclusive, and multi-sectoral approach to stabilization, particularly through strengthened civil-military cooperation in order to enable the return of displaced communities. The PSC also requested regular progress updates from the AU Commission and the Lake Chad Basin Commission Secretariat to maintain oversight and ensure accountability. Apart from following up on these issues and the review of the security and operational situation of the MNJTF, this PSC session is expected to receive an update on the revised regional stabilization strategy. Moving on, South Sudan has also been tabled as one of the agenda items this month.
Yes, the next meeting after the MNJTF will be an update on the situation in South Sudan, which will be held on the 12th of June. The political and security landscape in South Sudan is facing some hurdles exacerbated by the arrest and the ongoing detention of the first Vice President, Riek Machar, which happened on the 16th of March 2025 in Juba. This upcoming PSC session aims to build on key decisions and challenges outlined in the PSC's praise statement from its 1270th session, which was held on the 31st of March 2025, and the communique from the 1265th meeting held on the 18th of March. In its 1270th session statement, the PSC pressed the AU Commission chairperson to urgently send a high-level delegation to South Sudan, led by the panel of the wise, and urged the C5 to deepen engagement with all stakeholders to support AU and IGAD efforts for lasting peace and stability. In response, AUC chairperson Mohamed Yusuf swiftly dispatched a panel of the WISE delegation to Juba to reduce tension and promote dialogue. The AU Commission chairperson later visited Juba himself on 5th and 6th of May in coordination with IGAD to discuss the evolving political and security context with South Sudanese leadership. And during his visit, he had a high-level discussion with President Salva Kiir and senior officials, focusing not only on safeguarding the revitalized agreement on the resolution of the conflict in South Sudan, but also on promoting inclusive national dialogue, ensuring credible and timely implementation of the transitional roadmap, and bolstering governance institutions. This upcoming 12 June PSC session will likely review these priorities, aligning with ongoing efforts by regional and continental actors, including by the AU High-Level Ad Hoc Committee on South Sudan, and perhaps consider the panel of the WISE reports from its field mission to the country. The next meeting of the PSC will be a briefing on the status of the implementation of the Common Africa Defense and Security Policy and other relevant AU instruments on defense and security in the continent. This is a session planned for the 17th of June. The meeting is convened in accordance with the decisions from its 1159th PSC meeting, which was on June of 2023, on the status of implementation of the Common Africa Defense and Security Policy and other relevant defense and security instruments of the continent, with specific focus on updates on operationalization of the ASF, the African Standby Force, in which the Council requested the AU Commission chairperson to regularly brief the PSC on the status of the implementation of the policy and other relevant AU instruments on defense and security of the continent. Yeah, we know that shortfalls still persist in implementing core Common Africa Defense and Security Policy pillars, such as conflict prevention, peace building, and the integration of regional defense mechanisms alongside unaddressed foreign military activities on the continent. This makes this PSC meeting very important, and the session also presents an opportunity to assess progress, identify persisting gaps, and reaffirm the PSC's commitments to the implementation of the Common Africa Defense and Security Policy.
Yeah, thank you, Fikr. Implementation of the Common African Defense and Security Policy is crucial. It's clear that while there's progress, those persistent gaps in conflict prevention and regional integration, including challenges in operationalizing the Africa Standby Force, are critical issues we need to keep in focus. Moving forward, on 19th June, there will be a consultation with the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. The meeting is expected to address pressing concerns such as impunity, gender-based violence, and widespread human rights violations in conflict-affected regions, including the DRC, South Sudan, Sudan, and the Sahel. The PSC is also anticipated to engage with the African Commission on Human and People's Rights reports on abuses linked to terrorism and unconstitutional changes of government, and may urge member states to implement key instruments such as the ACHPR Resolution 448 of 2020 on the drafting of guidelines for the protection of all persons from enforced disappearance in Africa. Further emphasis may be placed on enhancing early warning systems through close collaboration with ACHPR's monitoring and reporting frameworks. Fikr, what more do we have on the agenda items?
We're only left with the last PSC session, which will be on the implementation of the PSC and AAC and SADC decisions on the situation in Eastern DRC, a session scheduled for the 25th of June. The conflict in the DRC has escalated due to renewed violence by the M23 rebel group, its capture of Goma, and rising diplomatic tensions between the DRC and Rwanda since the beginning of this year. And in response to the worsening crisis, the PSC, AAC, and SADC have pursued diplomatic initiatives leading to several key decisions, notably the communique from the joint AAC and SADC summits of heads of state and government, which was held on the 8th of February 2025 in Dar es Salaam, which demanded an immediate ceasefire, the withdrawal of all foreign forces, and the integration of the Luanda and Nairobi processes. The PSC had also convened its 1256 meeting as an emergency ministerial session on the 28th of January, and later on 14th February, convened its 1261st meeting at the heads of states and governments level to tackle the growing crisis in Eastern DRC. During the heads of state and governments level session in February, held at the summit level, the PSC supported the decision from the joint AAC-SADC summits, the extraordinary SADC summit, and the 24th extraordinary EAC Summit. To boost coordination, the PSC created the joint AU-EAC SADC coordination mechanism to offer technical assistance, promote collaboration with other regional economic communities, and align peace efforts. Later on the 24th of March 2025, the second joint EAC SADC Summit appointed 5 former presidents to lead the merged Luanda and Nairobi peace processes. The AU named Togo's president, Fanure, as the new AU mediator, succeeding from Angola's President Lorenzo. On 17 May, the mediator and EAC SADC facilitators met in Lome, Togo, while the US also launched the Rwanda-DRC talks. This upcoming PSC session will therefore assess the conflict and peace initiatives, ensuring alignment across AU, EAC, SADC, and other efforts, while deepening humanitarian crisis featuring mass displacement and rising sexual and gender-based violence. The session is also expected to explore coordinated mechanisms for unimpeded humanitarian access, as well as the protection of civilians. In addition to these meetings, the Committee of Experts will also meet on the 24th of June to provide updates on the activities it has been undertaking.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of another episode. We wish Tanzania a very fruitful month as it takes the chairship of the PSC for June 2025. And we wish everyone taking part in the work of the PSC productive discussions on the important topics outlined here today. All the best. We are happy to encourage our listeners to dig deeper into the PSC's agenda as well as the analytical work that we produce. Before we wrap up, we'd like to wish the following African states happy National Days of celebration in June. We have Kenya on 1st June, celebrating Madaraka Day, Mozambique on 25th June, the Independence Day, Madagascar, 26th June, the Independence Day as well, Somalia, 26th June, Djibouti, 27th June, Seychelles on the 29th of June, and the Democratic Republic of Congo on 30th of June. We also take this opportunity to wish our Muslim brothers and sisters a joyous Eid al-Adha and a blessed month ahead. Let me also thank our listeners for joining us for this month's edition of Conversing on Africa's Peace podcast. We hope you have a great month and a productive year. We'll be back next month to consider the PSC's agenda for July 2025. Until then, goodbye. We wish you all peace and prosperity.